What is heresy? That is a great question that every Christian should seek to answer. As the church, the Bible calls us the pillar and buttress of truth. It is our responsibility to teach sound doctrine, to adhere to sound doctrine, and refute those who do not hold to sound doctrine. So heresy is something that the church has always fought against throughout church history. Heresy has always existed, and the church should be able to recognize heresy and refute heresy. We need to be able to recognize and refute those who teach heresy, or as we would call them, heretics. Now, the dictionary defines heresy as any sort of belief that is contrary to religious dogma. And that's a good start, but I don't think that definition goes deep enough for us. We really need a better understanding of heresy. Heresy is not simply error. Heresy is not simply a contrary opinion. We all have errors in our theology and our understanding. We've all had errors that needed to be corrected so we could submit ourselves to the Scripture whenever we have a blind spot and the light of Scripture is shown on that blind spot. We seek to correct it. Error is not good. Error is still error that still needs to be corrected and addressed. However, heresy is much more than error, and it's much more than a contrary opinion. As a person, as a pastor who adheres to credo baptism or believer's baptism, we have paedo-Baptist brothers and sisters that have a different opinion of their from their understanding of Scripture. I would never claim for a paedo-Baptist brother or sister to be a heretic or holding to heresy. I also have Baptist ecclesiology, and I wouldn't call anyone a heretic who has a different opinion about church polity and church government. We even see in Acts 15 the apostles being able to have different opinions about missional methodology and how we can have disagreements and varying opinions as believers. But error and contrary opinions is not heresy necessarily. Heresy is something so egregious and so faulty that it would actually separate you from salvation in Jesus Christ. In other words, heresy is a damnable doctrine. It is doctrine that lacks such an understanding and such a biblical theology that it would actually cut right to the central tenets and core of our faith. It would cut against the very grain of the gospel. It would attack the person and work of Jesus Christ in such a way that anyone who would believe in this type of doctrine, this damnable doctrine, this heresy, anyone who would believe that, anyone who would teach that, there is no possible way that they could be saved because it is so against what the Scripture teaches about Jesus Christ, His work, and His person. And so this is what the videos will seek to do, as we as the church will need to be able to recognize and refute heresies of old and contemporary heresies. And so these videos will simply be 5 to 7 minutes long to help us recognize and refute heresy and heretics. We will go through traditional classical heresies and heretical teaching. We will look at Gnosticism and mysticism and all sorts of different heresies that we have found throughout church history. However, we will also look at modern day heresies, something like the New Apostolic Reformation, or sometimes called the NAR movement, or the prosperity gospel. We'll also look at modern day false teachers, and we'll look at modern day cults and cults of the past. And so we hope these sets of videos, this playlist, Heretics and Heresy, will be able to edify you and help you as we seek not to, one, ourselves drift into errant doctrine, but we will also be able to snatch people out of the fires of heresy, as Jude would say. And as we know, heresy is a serious thing, and heretics are those who we should have nothing to do with. 2 Peter tells us that there is coming a day where they will have swift destruction. And Titus 3 verse 10 tells us that after the first and second admonition, after you go to a heretic and after the first and second admonition, you should reject them. And so heresy and heretics are a serious business, serious endeavor, as we seek to never be deceived by these false teachings and these false teachers. So we hope that you come along with me and others as we teach about different heresies, so we can fight against them, refute them, and recognize them in such a way where we would never fall trap, and that it may stir our affections for the true gospel of Jesus Christ, where he has died for sinners and raised again from the grave, and it is him and in him alone that we have salvation. Well, I hope you join me for this teaching series, Heresy and Heretics.